Welcome to Cinema Surprise, presented by the Penny Bloom Podcast, where every week we celebrate film, and one of us never knows what's coming next. Hello everybody, and welcome in to Cinema Surprise by us, the Penny Bloom Podcast. Today is the Season 1 finale of Cinema Surprise, and we're going out on a fucking high note, baby. My last pick of the season was The Fabelmans, released on November 23rd, 2022, written by Steven Spielberg and Tony Kushner, directed by Steven Spielberg. I'm Colton Robertson. I'm joined by Joseph George. What's up, homie?
Oh, what up, what up? It is always a pleasure to be here.
Oh, and it is always a pleasure to have you. And today feels like a true pleasure. I was excited to show you this movie. It's been one that you've heard me talk about for a year and a half as it came. I watched it for the first time in December of 2022. Almost nearing 2 years now. And I must ask, did I oversell?
No, I didn't know I'd have like a new all-timer on my own, just my own personal all-time best movies of all time. I don't know, I don't even know what to really call it anymore, because like I have movies like Spider-Man up very high, and I know I just can't put Spider-Man next to like even this, it's like
right.
it's impossible. But no, this one, it's sitting at 2 right now. Well, I think it was. And then I put some Star Wars ones above it. I did pull the trigger, I think, too fast, but immediately it jumped right.
No, that's
to
where your
2.
gut takes. No, and that's the impact this movie has. I was going to be astonished if this wasn't one of your favorite movies of all time. And if I can be that confident in how good a movie is, that's I don't know if you'll recall a couple weeks back, I think I used the Sumai for a 10 on Singin' in the Rain, I think. Just a couple weeks ago, and I was so confident I could use it then because I knew for a fact there would be no qualms about this one being a 10.
Need.
No, so like
whatsoever.
that's just I can't speak highly enough about The Fabelmans. I think that this is, it's certainly amongst my favorite movies of all time. There's such a vulnerability and a self-analyzation that Spielberg does while also creating a relatively universal coming-of-age story, obviously specific events we can't all relate to, but the general transitionary period in that time of your life, and statistically, there's probably about 50% of people watching this who can relate more closely to the exact events of the movie. It's astonishingly well done, and I will say this is our third 2022 movie in Cinema Surprise. It took up a fourth. They took up a fourth of our Cinema Surprise 2022. Babylon, Banshees, and this, and all three, by the way, nominated for Best Score. All fucking horrendously robbed.
Damn.
I'd go Babylon, Fabelmans, Banshees, and All Quiet on the Western Front wouldn't come close to any of them, which is what won.
Yeah, Babylon.
Hey,
Whoa.
And I love Everything Everywhere All at Once. You know I love Everything Everywhere All at Once. The Daniels did not deserve Best Writing or Best Direction. Not when it was up against this. Not when it was up against Spielberg here.
Spielberg? It was such a good movie that I was just so into it. But every time that I took a step, like I had to take myself out to kind of be like, wait a minute, what's going on? Like Spielberg is directing this movie in which he's telling this character who is himself, like, exactly how to feel. You know, like the relationship that actor has to have, like, Gabriel LaBelle. Oh
yeah.
my God, the relationship he has with Spielberg has to be awesome. I don't know, like that.
Yeah.
This had to be the coolest movie to make. Like if you're a Spielberg fan, and I don't, how is that possible to not I don't know.
Right,
Are there
right.
Spielberg haters out there? Is that even possible?
There certainly are, but what's really you bring up a good point there with like Gabriel LaBelle, the relationship he had to have formed with Spielberg. I mean, we've got a star in the making with Gabriel LaBelle. There, the kid is fucking incredible,
Does he
and
remind you
I
of
absolutely
anybody?
adore him.
The
My
whole
little
movie.
brother.
Oh,
He reminds
really?
me of my little brother.
Just
yeah,
straight
he reminds
up.
me of Quentin a lot.
Okay, I got. And
It's mostly at certain angles. Like
see
there will
that
be a
now.
profile every time he's like in a profile. Like I remember there's a dark moment in the movie, relatively dark, but it's after his mom hits him. And he goes and he stands against the door, and it's like his side profile leaning against the door. He has like almost an identical profile to my little brother, and it blows my fucking mind every time I watch this movie.
Wow.
But who do you have in mind?
Oh, well, it's Freddy off Stranger Things. I wish I should. The new Rock, Rock, is that his name in Stranger Things? Freddy? Maybe
Eddie.
that's Eddie.
Yeah.
I knew, okay, that didn't. Okay, but I don't know why. It just that's
Interesting. Joseph Quinn, huh?
Yeah, there
I
it
didn't,
is. Joseph Quinn.
I didn't quite.
Every
I didn't
now
clock
and
that.
then, yeah, just with like shorter hair. If he didn't have the
I
rock
got you.
and mullet,
I got you.
It felt like
Yeah,
every now and
I
then.
can see that.
But
no, I love Gabriel LaBelle, and I think that the portrayal of him, of Sammy Fabelman, was so incredibly well done that, I mean, I'll be astonished if Gabriel LaBelle's not a name we know for years to come. He's already been cast in the new. There's a new movie coming out called SNL 1975, which is about the first airing of the first episode of Saturday Night Live, and I remember that he was one of the first people announced to be in it, so I'm pretty sure he's going to be a pretty big part. But I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, no, Spielberg's vulnerability on display here is incredible. There's such a rawness and there is obviously a meta nature to this movie, because Spielberg is one of those directors that's not like it's little known, It's like if Denis Villeneuve, he's obviously not little known either, but if he made a movie kind of like this that was autobiographical, it wouldn't hit the same, because we don't feel like we know Denis Villeneuve nearly as well as we feel like we know Spielberg. And Spielberg knows we know him that well, so there is also like that layer of like whenever at the end of the movie, whenever he's talking to the jock at the end of the movie, and he's like, never tell anybody about this. And he's like, I won't, I promise, unless I make a movie about it, which is the movie he's making right now. It's
so
it's
cool.
incredible. It's incredible.
That is what Endgame wishes it could have done. Like I feel like that's like just Hollywood's kind of like a fourth wall break. I don't know. I feel like that's just kind of like the ultimate status that you can reach whenever you're at that level where you're right. Like it wouldn't really work with another director, really. Like I don't know.
And then
it just...
the actual end of this movie, just I love the last scene in this movie, mostly because we're talking about three of my favorite film directors of all time. We have one of the greatest film directors of all time directing one of my favorite and one of the best film directors of all time, who happens to be playing one of the greatest film directors of all time. That's David Lynch. That's David Lynch playing John Ford at the end.
I just kind of assumed.
Yeah.
I'm just like, well, I don't know what John Ford looks like.
John Ford's long gone.
Okay,
yeah.
I kind of thought that.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
he's probably dead. That's kind of nuts if this is really him.
No,
But
it's David
whoa.
Lynch. That's David Lynch playing him, and he does a fantastic fucking job. So just like the amount of joy that scene alone fills me with, because I love A Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, and the fact that that's the movie that inspires him to make his first, Western sort of thing that he shows, the one that he pokes the pinholes in and makes the gun, like that was inspired by A Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. And then at the end, that's the last poster on the wall next to him. He's like, holy shit, I'm here, like I'm with the guy who made the movie that made me want to make movies.
Because I feel like he leans up against that exact poster, like whenever he's outside with his boys and he goes in, that's the movie they're watching, I think, when he's like, shut up, or like...
No, fantastic.
But,
another one that I almost picked during season 1 of Cinema Surprise, by the way. I almost pulled trig on A Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, but
man, so thankful you picked this movie, like, because I skipped it. I skipped it for Banshees. This was number 2. It was between this and Banshees, and I don't know why. What made me go with Banshees, but man, it would have sucked. Like if we did have this the other way around, and Banshees was the finale, and the Fabelmans was the penultimate. Yeah, no, it wouldn't.
Well, no, it just felt like such a fitting
but,
end. You know, like for this part of the project, like there's such a positive note, a love of film, a love of filmmaking. It just. And it's so much more than that. You know, I remember you describing the reason you ended up going with Banshees was because you were worried this would fall too much in the Babylon Singing in the Rain vein. And there's an element of that. You know, like my favorite line of the movie is from Mitzi, his mom, when at the very beginning when she says, "Movies are dreams, doll, that you never forget." I love that because fucking right on the fucking money. And there's just so much of Spielberg's love for movies and movie making that just absolutely bleeds through all over this movie. But beyond that, the family drama that ensues and the coming of age story that happens throughout this movie is one of the best family dramas or coming of age stories I've ever seen. So like, and the fact that it is so rooted in reality is another reason that this movie just gets better and better, because it is so personal. It is so, and you feel it. You feel how much Spielberg loved making this movie, you know, and it hits like a truck. I love it, man. Sitting
in their living room while their parents are telling them we're about to have we're doing this, and he, the shot of him thinking how he would shoot it, it's he's experiencing the emotions in the time. He kind of knew this was going to probably happen at some point, so like it's probably not a shock to him, but like still an emotional moment to go through. But like I think part of that cry is also like, oh my God, I'm also thinking of how I would shoot this right now. But then we are watching how he shot it right now. Like we are watching how he eventually shot it, and that's
no, that is my favorite scene of the movie, because that is the most poignant self-analyzation and self-reflective thing I've ever seen a director do. That moment always just makes me fucking sob.
And there's tear ups before, or I mean, there's some cry. I mean, I am teared up the whole movie almost. It's just I'm still stuffed up from it today. Like I did not have allergies at the beginning of today, but now I'm stuffed up because of this movie. And I literally told my mom, I'm like, hey, maybe this is one you just stay away from. Actually, 'cause I think like not because of I don't think like if my mom watches this movie, I'm gonna I'm not placing my mother into this movie sort of thing. I get you. She just cries so easily over anything that this movie might actually like cause respiratory problems. I don't know eventually, but no, I mean it was and there were such good cries the whole time too. Like every time I teared up, it was so nice. I was never like, oh my God, again. No, it was just kind of like, oh, like it felt.
It's just kind of steady. Oh, and I think that that's a product of just how personal it is, like there's a layer to it where you can just feel how vulnerable this is of Steven Spielberg. It's not even like there are moments where there are tear ups where it's just from the amount Sammy loves filmmaking, and the reason you tear up is because these moments led to some of your favorite movies ever. You know what I'm saying? Like, without him sitting in the theater for the first time with the projector glowing over his head, I never get to watch Raiders of the Lost Ark, which is one of my 5 favorite movies of all time, and this is right there with it. Like, and there's something to be said for how much, and like for as vulnerable and personal as this movie is, if you watch any other Spielberg movie again.
Oh, it's going to be so different.
It recontextualizes every single one of his movies. You've seen Catch Me If You Can, right?
Mm-hmm. I have, actually.
Do you remember what Leonardo DiCaprio's, what his parents' launching off point was?
His parents, okay. I remember their apartment. That's actually, or just where they lived. Yeah. The visual.
Well, his dad's Christopher Walken. And if I recall correctly, Leo's mom marries their dad's best friend and leaves him with his son. You know, like that's the sort of shit I'm talking about. Like there are certain movies where the villain, like the villain in Indiana Jones Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, is played by Cate Blanchett. Give me one guess what you think kind of haircut she has.
Whoa. Yeah.
Real tight bob around the head. Looks a lot like Mitzi Fabelman. When we get to The Last Crusade on the Cinementalists, inevitably, that's Indiana Jones and his dad, played by Sean Connery. And the relationship they have is, you know, Sean Connery's character is like, I wanted this for you. Why'd you go into this? What are you doing? You know, like, how could you have become this? But he ultimately ends up being proud of him, you know? And like, that's like, it just seeps through in everything he's ever done. And it's just a really good example of how an artist will always pull from their life to create, you know? And while this is as personal as you can possibly get, besides doing a literal, like going, this movie's going to be called The Spielbergs and it's about me and my family, you know, or a documentary. Like, it's just,
I guess, how much of, because obviously there are probably some parts that are dramatized.
There's plenty of drama. There's plenty of dramatization.
Yeah, but like,
there's plenty.
I'm assuming the big beats of things are just legitimate. Like this, it might as, this is the documentary he would make. He wouldn't make a documentary, like, because even his camping trip video, you know, if it's to be believed that he just took videos of his camping trips and of this, you know, skip day, whatever. It might not have been skip day, but he's filming all the time. And I love that he can even film someone so well that they get pissed off because they look so good.
They'll never live up to the image he's created of them, you know?
I thought for sure when he was watching, like, and the shot of, like, the mirror reflecting, you could see the movie in the background of, what's the jock's name? Whatever,
I can't remember.
Jock, whatever. You could see the jock watching the movie, but also you could see the movie in the mirror. It's a reflection that they prettied themselves up in or whatever. But like, I thought for sure that he was going to be like, you know, I've never known this, but I think I want to be an actor now, you know, or like, I don't know. Like, I thought that was going to be like the storyline, instead of him coming up to him and being like, yo, dude, what the fuck? Like, why are you so goddamn talented that you made me impossible? Like, he was so pissed. And I mean, he had a lot going on too, I guess. A lot more
and that's
going on.
And that's what's cool, is that's one of those points that's, my money's on dramatized, you know, because that's just such a perfect movie moment, you know. He even says, you know, life's not like the movies, Fabelman, but hey, in the end, you got the girl, you know, like all that stuff. Like, but that character is so fascinating. I absolutely love that. I don't love him, but I loved what they did with that character. And I love that they're trying to make a point about this guy trying to fit an archetype. He's already trying to be something he's not, you know? He's already trying to fulfill this image of the, you know, the all-American athlete. He's the all-American boy at their school. He's the, you know, he's the jock. He's a little bit of a bully, but he's got the girl, and he's, you know, everybody loves him. Everybody thinks he's a good guy. They're all cheering for him when they see him on the screen. And then he sees himself as he wants to present himself, but knows he's never been. And the fact that one of the things that I think permeates throughout this movie is that it shows the power of a director very, very well. Like,
the dumb military guy.
Whatever. But even beyond that, whenever he shows his family the camping trip video, and he's already discovered, you know, the dark side of the camping trip. Whenever he shows him that, and his mom hugs him and goes, "You see me." You know, like he's able to he's able to capture what other people don't even know is there strictly. You know, like before he shows his mom the alternative footage of her and Benny, I think there's a chance she's never consciously even considered it a possibility that she would act on that, you know? I'd be willing to bet it's not until then that she's like, at least that's how Spielberg portrays it. which then plays into his guilt as Sammy Fabelman, thinking it's all his fault that things fell apart. Even though it's not. Like, this was inevitable. If she was in love with Benny, that's how it was going to go. But he portrays it in a way that's like, this was the spurring moment. This was the event that made everything spiral. All of a sudden, nothing was ever the same because I showed my mom the video of her in love with Benny. And I just think there's such a poignant vulnerability, and I keep coming back to that vulnerability because that's just what it is. It's so personal, and it's so...
Tick, boom, write what you know. I forgot who said it, who gave him that advice of just...
Sondheim?
Yeah, but just...
No, wait, it was his agent. That was like right
on the phone, the girl, yeah, I guess that girl. Yeah, but just write what you know. And this is very clearly what Spielberg knows. And yeah, I mean, this... I don't understand how, like, a movie, like, this is just a movie. It was 2 hours and 30 minutes. Like, I didn't want it to end, for one. Like, I just don't understand how a movie can actually get you to feel this way. I had no idea. These are characters. The actors are playing these people. They're not even real. You know, they're portraying real people. It's just boggles my mind. And
that's another thing. You know, you mentioned the dumb military guy who ends up being like who ends up acting his ass off because of a good director, you know. And you talk about forgetting that these people are actors who are seeping into a role, you know. Like, I can't believe how good everybody is in this movie, you know. Like, everybody, there's not a single hole that I could poke and be like, this character's not too well done. You know, they're all fucking good.
The amount of flexing that's kind of going on right now in this movie, like, because Spielberg's directing young Spielberg to direct that dumb military guy on how to direct. You know, whatever.
He knows he's one of the greatest directors who's ever lived. That's the comparison he's drawing whenever he gets to meet John Ford at the end. Yeah. You know, like he's earned that too, you know, like it's not even like, oh, well, dude, come on now, be a little more humble. No, he's earned that. This man is late in his career. He's almost 80. Like this almost feels like the culmination of a career. The fact that this isn't his last movie is astonishing. You know what I'm saying? Like, it feels like it should be a sign off.
Tarantino, listen, you know, see, you can just keep doing it. I don't know.
You could just keep doing it.
But no, yeah, it does feel like a sign off. You're right. It does feel like a kind of like, here you go. But
I could show you exactly how good I am at this and how good I've always been at this. You know, like, it was like I was born for this shit. You know, like, that's
crash. You know, that he filmed. That is, you know, and all these things aren't probably exactly, but like his mom even on that was like, holy shit, like, wow. Like, I mean, the little,
I thought that was the greatest show on earth.
He replicated it very well. I wonder if the pinhole, the poking the holes to make the muzzle flashes happen. I wonder if that was real, or if he if he legitimately.
If you go to IMDb, his earliest credits are the short films in this movie. Yeah.
What?
Escape to Nowhere, the military
or did
film?
they show the actual Spielberg
no, they
cuts?
refilmed them with they didn't.
Okay, I was going to say, well, yeah, duh, because there's the actors that are in the movie. Okay, duh. I guess that's just how into the story I am. I legitimately thought
like, this could be real.
God damn it.
But no, the first one's like The Last Gun, which I think is renamed Gunsmog in the movie, and then Escape to Nowhere.
That is awesome. I wonder if he was like, if he saw that pinhole like through somewhere, or if it truly was off like a random inspiration, like his mom stepping through her music sheet, you know, and is I guess what did it for him. But yeah, wow.
Well, and there's stuff like that that's so specific that it's almost like when you are talking about such a personal film, a lot of these have to be very specific memories. Like, to even put a date at the beginning of the movie. He knows what day he fell in love with movies. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's nuts.
It's January 10th, 1952, which I will add is 48 years to the day before I was born. Another reason I love this movie. January 10th pops up on the screen, and I'm like, that's me. You know, like, like, that's something that you don't just throw a date at that. You know, I'm certain Spielberg knows what day he went to go see that movie. He, like, because there's not another date card the rest of the film. It's just,
damn. That
could also be that it was right before Hanukkah, and like they're just throwing a number on it like that, but I don't know.
That's kind of, I wish, I don't know. I'm trying to, there's nothing in my childhood, I think, that I can be like, yes. That is when my love for whatever has begun.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That's tough. Like, cause I do love movies, and I would like, it would be really cool to make a movie, but I know that I'm never gonna make a movie. Like, that's just not my bag. That is,
Mm-hmm.
it'd be really cool, but not my bag. But like, yeah, I wonder what that, like, I'm kind of jealous of like a childhood moment that he can actually point to and be like, yes,
this changed my life and
this.
decided what the course of my entire existence would be.
Was it traumatizing or cool to him, or both? Like, what? Because he felt like he was trying to like hide his like anxiety feelings towards it with just like, oh, this has to be like the coolest. This is such a cool crash and whatever. But like, I feel like it was kind of just like a, holy shit, I've never seen anything like this before. Like, he's a kid.
Well, I think there's a blend of things going on there, I think if you recall the way it felt to... We watch things every once in a while now, and we're like, oh, that's a little scary. I can't believe that's in a kid's movie, But that was some of the most exciting shit to watch in kids' movies when you were younger. It was the stuff that pushed the edge for you. It was the stuff that was like, oh, man, I don't feel like I'm supposed to be seeing this. You know what I'm saying? And that excites you, that sticks with you, and that's what decides, like, this is... oh, I like the way this makes me feel, And I think that was... I think another thing was just a true fascination with the fact that it was done at all. Like... how did they trash that? How did they crash that train? How did the people inside fall over the place? How, like, a curiosity. She says, he wants to control it. He wants to make the train crash. He wants to figure out how it was done. So like, there's another really important line from Bert Fabelman, played wonderfully by Paul Dano. Whenever they come home from the Escape to Nowhere, not the Escape to Nowhere, the one with the pins, the Gunsmog, I think is what it was called. The one where he got his badge, and he's like, "How'd you do that?" He's like, "Pins. I poked holes in the film." He's like, "God, thinking like an engineer," and he starts talking about how like what you do is kind of like what I do, isn't it? Like I know what my guys need to do, and I know how to get it done, and he's like, yeah, I guess, like, he's like, I don't want to say it like that, but yeah, the way you put it, simply like that, yeah.
It's like, yes, it is the same, but different. And the difference is your passions are just down different branches, and like, like this, the characters couldn't have been, I don't know, any more perfect for this movie. Just the father and like this. I fear this person. Like, I fear becoming what's Paul Dano? Bert. Okay, Bert. Paul Dano was the only name in my head during the whole movie, but I just suck with character names. But Bert, this is like, I fear becoming this person. I do not want to be just, I don't know. This is my worst fear, is to become kind of this person at the end. Like, I don't think he's a bad, not to say that he's a bad person. He's a great person. He's loving, caring. Like, that is everything great about him. But just to be, I guess, that disconnected and too focused in on the work and too, I don't know, not human enough, like, I guess.
Analytical.
And like, I feel like the blend between the two engineers that we saw, like, is kind of perfect. You don't want to be the home wrecker, that's coming in and sweeping in, but, that's one thing. But you don't want to be the dad that's like, hey kids, look at this triangle here. Do you know why it's a triangle? Because the center of gravity is real, real strong. And look at, and then they just see their mom playing on a tree and they're like, yeah, that's way more fun. We're going over there. Right. And it's,
well, I adore Bert Fabelman, man. I do. I love him. When Michelle Williams, who is also utterly fucking fantastic in this movie, throws out the whole, I'm not going to leave your dad. He's the kindest, most sweetest, most caring, most empathetic, most, I get angry at him. He goes and buys me a dress. There's nothing he could possibly do that he can't possibly conceive of there being anything wrong here. And for that, she loves him, but it's also why there can't be anything. That's why there's nothing left. And that's why, ultimately, I feel so fucking bad for Bert. I love Bert Fabelman because, when it came to that moment, whenever, he's doing the fire and, he's just trying to relay onto his kids what he loves. He's got to know his audience a little bit, but still, that's not the worst thing a father can do.
Oh yeah, no, good. Oh no, he's never done anything wrong per se.
No, yeah,
it's just
but
to know when to sit down or to know when to kind of be like, you know what, maybe not yet, or maybe in another way, because whenever he was explaining how film worked at the beginning, to little Sam, I bet I don't know, maybe that was a little interesting to him, but then it just kind of went on a little too long, and then it's his mom just turned him around and was like, it's gonna be fun, or just talk to him like a kid, after
movies are dreams, doll, and she never forget.
That's what she says when he turns. That's
when she says
perfect,
because it's the perfect contrast between, and they literally don't cut during that scene. They show one side of Sammy, they show the other side of Sammy, and it's they pan to Paul Dano, and your brain can't hold onto the picture fast enough, which gives you the impression that a still picture is actually moving, a motion picture, and that's exciting for him. That's what makes it cool to him. It's not the fact that it's a story, it's not the fact that it's art, it's the fact that there is a fascinating science behind it that ends up resulting in something as cool as this. And then for her to come in with the artistic perspective, which is why another one of my favorite scenes and another one of my favorite performances, one of the most interesting Oscar nominations of the year from this movie was Judd Hirsch as Uncle Boris. He got nominated for an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor.
I mean, he came in and he left his mark.
Oh, he did the thing, yeah, but that scene is it's the centrally most important scene to Sammy's characterization. It determines everything, and it's just Judd Hirsch going in for about 5 minutes. Whenever he's like, your family and your art, it will tear you in two, and he talks about, you love them, you love your family, I know you do, but this I think you love more, and then that comes back around whenever he's imagining how he'd film the sequence where his parents are telling them they'd get a divorce, that moment isn't as important to him as it is to think about how he would shoot the moment, and I think that there's such that is the most important part of the movie for Sammy's character, and the way that there's such a fascinating blend of all sorts of Spielberg all over this movie. I love the vaguely scary sequence that precedes Uncle Boris showing up, where the phone rings and she answers the phone and, don't let him in. Who, Mama? Who are you talking about? Yeah. Don't let him in. And then Paul Dano takes the phone and he's like, you're having a nightmare. And again, I'm going Paul Dano for my performance, man. I love him as Bert Fabelman. I think that, Michelle Williams got an Oscar nom. She lost to Michelle Yeoh, which you're never going to hear me complain about. I love Michelle Yeoh. Judd Hirsch lost to Ki Kwan. I agree with that wholeheartedly as well. What I don't agree with, even though I do love Judd Hirsch in this movie, is that Paul Dano didn't get the nomination for Best Supporting Actor. I
mean, I guess it's a subtle, more of a very subtle, and he is kind of hidden. Kind of, I don't know, that is kind of what he's doing, but I don't know. It is just as impressive to play that, and the subtle facial movements that he had. Just whenever he goes in the kitchen, and
dude, my shot is whenever he sees the picture of them and he just looks out and there's a shadow on the wall, and the shadow behind him has sort of the vague shape of Mitzi. I don't know if you clock that.
What?
Yeah, it has the
What?
vague shape of, you can see a little bit of the bob on the head there, and there's it's just kind of, I might be projecting onto it, but that's how I like to see it.
Oh,
And
you're right, dude. That
yeah,
is so
like
purposeful. It has to
oh
be.
yeah,
Oh
yeah. You
yeah.
don't do that on accident, you know. And that's like, it's just such a gut wrenching, heart wrenching moment when he realizes, sort of, you know, like he comes and talks to his son a little bit after that, and he goes, you know, like, we're too deep into our story for us to say the end. You know, he's still holding on to the idea that perhaps there's a future for him and Mitzi, and there's a Mitzi-shaped hole in his heart. She was the perfect balance for him. He was not the perfect balance for her. You know, even their daughter, another one of my favorite characters in this movie. I absolutely adore her. Whenever she's talking to Sammy while he's editing his beach picture, and she says, she laughs at Benny's jokes, but Dad was always her best audience. You know, like, that is on the money, you know. And I get chills, like the fact, again, I love Everything Everywhere All at Once, but the fact that this screenplay doesn't win best screenplay is fucking insane. And I think, and again, Everything Everywhere All at Once, one of my favorite movies of all time. I absolutely adore it, but like, there's just some things the movie can't do nearly as well as what this accomplishes, and that's one of them. There's plenty of stuff in Everything Everywhere All at Once that hits like a truck, but even that line, which is not one of the hardest hitting lines in the movie, you know, like, there are lines in the movie that I think hit even harder, but that one line by a major supporting character, like, being just like, she laughs at Benny, all of Benny's jokes, but Dad was her best audience, you know, like, that's an incredible line.
The daughters had nothing.
Unbelievable
like,
line.
they were just kind of there in the movie before, just as kind of extras, and that was kind of, at least the divorce scene. Definitely, they got some stuff to go on. But I feel like before, they were just kind of like in the back of the car to make some noise or whatever. But then
they helped him with his films when he was younger and stuff. You know, that was cute. I liked
then
that.
the one sister that came in and just kind of, you know, it was right after the divorce and everything, whatever, and the conversation eventually gets to, like, you know, but you're selfish too, like, and you don't realize it, but you're, like, out of all of us, you're the closest,
you are the
one
most
to,
like
her. And then he, you know, like, he was like, whoa, he was like, holy shit, like, like, it kind of, but he knew it was true, like, you know, he wasn't trying to, like, deny it. He was just like, oh, like, shit, this is the kind of, like, the first time it's hit me. But yeah, like, what a moment to get out of one of the siblings that, you know, that is just a random one moment that they, I don't know. And then the little embrace they have afterwards, like, hey, before I show this to the whole school, can you at least watch it with me? And you know, they hug, you know, there, and it's just little moments like that, cause I started tracking every moment that I, like, teared up, or like a good tear up, and then I stopped.
One of them.
I stopped eventually. I was just like, it's getting too full. But I guess I have showing his mom the movie in the closet. That was the first train one, actually. Whenever he's looking at it on his hand first. That's I think my shot of the movie. Oh my god! And just the idea of it, like, it's just like a kid, like, in his, I don't know.
Well, and it's also, again, just like Spielberg, like, holding the movies in the palm of his hand.
Come
you know,
on.
like, this is him. You know, like, it's just perfect.
Come on, it's the poster I also changed to Letterboxd.
The way he pulls her into the room for the first one, and then he does it again whenever he's showing her the shot of him holding his hand up
and
at the
his mom
like,
smiling
oh
on the second time at first, and she's like, oh, just like last time, and then it's like a way different,
dude. And they don't even show the movie, and they just stick with Michelle Williams. Slowly. God, dude, I know.
Like, I know. On one hand, I'm like, I kind of wanted to see what just a raw. Because this probably wasn't an edited, you know, put together well. This was just the scraps that he had. I bet it would still look really good, but the decision was perfect, just to keep the camera on her the whole time and just no cuts. Oh man, yeah, it was perfect. But yeah, the first initial train crash, that made me tear up, which was nice. And then making his first movie with his siblings, like, whenever they got all the mummy, you know, they were all mummified.
And like, it's just there's a nostalgia there that's kind of timeless. You know, you remember?
Yes, he brings them up to the attic and he scares them or whatever, and he has this like light circle thing that makes it look just like so good, and he's just. I don't know. I feel like that, like details like that are too specific for him to not like. He did shit like that at home. Like that's just crazy.
Well, and just the innovation he shows as a young filmmaker working on a shoestring budget, where like when he's shooting the war picture, and it's just like the plank that he steps on the end of, and it simulates that sort of thing, firecrackers in the walls and stuff. Like that's cool as fuck. That's a great idea, and
Bird poop.
it's just.
Nope.
Yes.
Ice cream, little movie magic, all the little movie magic things that were in there was just so cool.
God, and the beach, the ditch day sequence is really, really cute. You know, there's a lot of just really, really cute stuff in this movie too, and I think it's so funny that he has a girlfriend who fetishizes him for being Jewish like Jesus.
You're a really fun guy to kiss. You know, it's like that's all she really cares. Like he looks like Jesus, and he's good at kissing. Maybe Spielberg's he's got
Jesus
his Mac
is
game.
Sexy.
Yeah, what man? That was. You think that was his first kiss? Like,
at least was in the movie. Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't.
No way. Like, this has to be dramatized, but it would be it would be hilarious if this dude's first kiss, or I don't think I think that's all they did there. You know, but that to be like. Having Jesus,
she's down. She's dedicated her life to Christ. They didn't go any further than a kiss.
That's true. But I mean, just to have like Jesus there in the moment, like you're forced to have to like just call Jesus into you. You know,
hey Jesus,
he's like
you're there. Show me a sign. You know, like and
you can't
come into me, Jesus.
He's like,
come here.
Yeah, he's like, I don't know. We've been fine for like 5,000 years. I don't know. We've been chilling. Like, I loved how like calm and relaxed he was about everything.
Oh, he had a little bit of game there, you know. Like whenever he was like, "Well, we've been doing fine for about 5,000 years, so you know how it is," you know. I loved that whole sequence.
Bloody nose, just knows all.
There's a really like, again, credit to Gabriel LaBelle for the way he plays Sammy here, because there's a fascinating balance. Whenever he's in his element, he's as confident and suave and cool as anybody else in the movie, and then when he's completely out of it, he feels so sad, and not pathetic, but like, I don't know, like he's playing him pathetic. It's not like the character himself. I know he's not pathetic, but you know, like he feels like he is pathetic in those moments, you know. And
they show the general high school kind of getting bullied. You know, he's not good at sports.
A little bit more specific than that too, with the anti-Semitism he faced in his new
true.
School, you know?
That sucks. That was
a rough. And like that's another one of those things that's not dramatized. You know, like they moved to California. They're the only Jewish people for miles, and that's, you know, and it's bizarre to think about how much this specific element has evolved. You know, like it's fascinating that there was a guy at his school who could look at him and like know that he was Jewish. You know, I don't think I can do that. I don't think I can look at anybody.
I don't have that ability.
You know, exactly. And that's what's interesting, is that a lot of people who have that ability are either Jewish or they are anti-Semitic. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's
you point them out for a reason.
You know, like, and so, but that's what's interesting, is that like, I feel like that's not a common thing people can just do now, is like, you must be Jewish. You know, like I can hardly ever tell that.
That one other guy, you know, the main job but the smaller kind of.
God, I hated him, and that's why the last scene is so fucking awesome. You know, he's demented, like medically. So watch your back. You know, like that whole sequence. But whenever they are, you know, they're not buddy at the end, but you know, they've got that weird relationship going that also has. I always projected onto a movie a vague homoeroticism. There's some, specifically with Sammy Fabelman, the whole fucking movie feels, you know. There's a really important speech Steven Spielberg gave at the Oscars following this movie, where everyone was like, I thought you were going to come out right there. That's what it felt like on whenever he was talking about it. So like, there's like, in a movie that is so personal and so specific. And so, they aren't depicting Sammy as effeminate, not strictly, but they're obviously not depicting him as masculine, because he's not. He's artsy, and that's his vein, and that's kind of the side of the plate he swings on, but, there's a lot of speculation after this movie where everyone was like, Sammy Fabelman is not straight. Like that was kind of the impression that a lot of people came away from this movie with.
Maybe it is just you gotta know what looks good, to shoot good. I guess.
Yeah, I had that exact thought. Like the way he shoots the jock is attractive.
Not a way a man would,
no,
like a man shooting a man. I guess.
Yeah, one of our straightest filmmakers is Richard Linklater. Richard Linklater is a straight man, and you can tell in the way that he shoots movies. It's not that he's very good at romance. He can depict the shit out of a romance, but the gaze is almost always on the woman. Like that is almost always the case. It's always like, oh, this woman is otherworldly. Spielberg has a knack for shooting men that way. Also, Harrison Ford, Harrison Ford, and Karen Allen and Raiders of the Lost Ark. Both of those people are extraordinarily attractive. Minority Report, War of the Worlds. Anytime he's ever shot Tom Cruise, it feels like he's like, yep, that's Tom Cruise right there. Leonardo DiCaprio, it feels like he shoots him with a certain like. That's a beautiful man, And so like there's no sense in speculating about real life people's sexuality or anything, but that is something that in this movie, when Sammy Fabelman shoots him like that, it's like, oh, like there's something there a little bit.
I don't know. I feel like everyone kind of in the art game, maybe not just in the art game, maybe just generally happier people are more just comfortable saying that, like, I'm not 100% straight or 100%.
Yeah, right.
It's just like, I can just say that I
would never. It's like, I don't know,
or
maybe.
whatever. And I think it helps, especially when you're a director. You need to know what looks good or what will get people to feel that emotion, to feel that sense of attraction. And if you're feeling it yourself, then there you go. It's probably coming from somewhere. Yeah.
Well, and there's also a certain degree of empathy that it's obvious Spielberg possesses, that it's that Sammy possesses. I'm calling him Spielberg, but like there's an obvious degree of empathy. Like whenever his mom collapses coming out of the closet and starts crying there, and he's like, it's fine, I won't tell. Like he's been so cold to her for weeks. He's been so like, you are being mean to the nicest man alive, essentially, is how he's feeling, but the moment she comes collapsing out of that closet, like, I didn't mean for, like, I love you, and I love Dad, and I don't want to do anything, so, like, I won't tell, it's okay, like, it's just, sorry, he's just such a sweet guy. He's such a sweet kid, and I loved Sammy Fabelman. Easy character pick for the movie. There's no other choice.
I gave him the double, the performance and the character. I really hope I see him in more. I guess he was in Predator, the new Predator movie, and I have seen that a while ago, but I don't remember him being in it. Maybe he was just a support, very small, small role, but. I don't know. I really would like to see him in some new stuff.
He's got some eyes on him.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to ask if those were contacts or those his real eyes, because I
can't tell.
They were like,
there were points where they're like striking.
Yeah, it's like whoa,
and not in a particular way where it's like there are obviously moments, like the moment whenever he sees himself in the mirror shooting it, and then they cut to his eyes. Like he's obviously very good at acting with his eyes. But the scene with like Judd Hirsch when he's playing like scared, his eyes are almost scary.
Yeah,
they
do kind of change.
Dark.
It feels like
they are dark, and it almost looks like he just has black eyes sometimes. And it's there are points in this movie where I'm like, man, I feel like he's looking into my fucking soul sometimes. But generally, Gabriel LaBelle is also like. I was just blown away by how good he is. And Michelle Williams is the other, like, we haven't really talked about her performance, but goddamn is she good, man. Like, she's always good.
Yeah.
She's Michelle Williams. There's never really anything that you're going to watch her in and be like, she could have done better. You know, like she is that good.
Wide range of emotions she had to play here. She had to go crazy
and
a little bit too.
A little bit of a kooky character also. You know, like there's points in this movie like my mama's the best mama. She's a good mama, and she's like laying on her dying mom and stuff. Like there's some there's something to that is like, man, you're good at your job. You know, like it's almost freaky. You know, like whenever they're going to move to Arizona, and Bert's like, he's telling them, and the kids are like, what about Benny? And he's like, well, Benny is not, and then she's like, we haven't talked about that. And he's like, no, I can't just pull I don't have strings to pull yet. Like, I can't do that. And he makes it happen. But before that, whenever she walks outside, like with the tornado going on and everything, and is like, come on, kids, let's go. They jump in the car, and everything happens for a reason. Everything about to give you a good indicator of just how good some technology can be when the right person is at the helm. That sequence is shot in the volume.
In the tornado
the tornado sequence is shot in the volume. Yep, yeah, you know, like that's.
I guess it is kind of like a retro neighborhood. Yeah, it is. It's not just a neighborhood you could go to. You'd have
shot in the volume. Yeah, that's how they did that.
Oh my god, that's tech.
Dude,
yeah,
unbelievable.
All the stuff like AI, even like AI, like that. That's why I want to see what like a Spielberg would do with AI. You know, like what would he do? Would he not touch it, or would he? I don't know. Like I wonder
if he had no other choice. You know,
yeah. You think he would stay away at all costs? You know, like he just.
I do. I think he's kind of got it. Like
Yeah, there's no need. I guess
he's done enough. That's that good that he's like, why would I need to do that?
My brain is better than the computer.
I've gotten to this point. You know, like George Lucas would.
True.
You know,
I feel
George
that
Lucas would. He'd be curious about that.
Yeah.
You know, and just kind of out of a like what. More interest in what he could make possible, what he could do with it. Not, he wouldn't take the principled stand. He'd be like, well, this is going to happen. I might as well try it, you know?
I feel like it would never be like a final product thing. Yeah, but I feel like it's just like a tool for the process, but never.
Process,
but just I don't know. I feel like,
but no, like that's like, you know, whenever we talk about how, you know, Marvel uses the volume, or you know, Quantumania basically shot entirely in the volume for, you know, the quantum realm and stuff, and it's like obviously we're getting a little lazy, like, you know, like obviously, but you know, when you see Greg Fraser use it for the Mandalorian and Greg Fraser use it for the Batman, and
up on that construction or like unfinished building with like the sunset, just keeping that light, that's just perfect. Like a situation like that is. It is just perfect, and
and then using it for a sequence like this, where
I had no clue.
You know,
that's
it looks incredible.
Thing. Like, what? Like, I could have sworn that was just a set, like a legit neighborhood that they were driving around on. That's just. Like, even whenever the light, like, whoosh, crashes in front of him and all the shopping carts go in front of them.
That is specifically the part that is, like, shown to be shot in the volume.
Wow, that's
right. It's like how
he's showing
like
off,
that's
dude.
When the volume is at its best. Is like I can't even fathom that that's what you're doing right now. You know what I'm saying? Like even in the Mandalorian, which kind of speared that technology, there were points where it was like, oh, once you point it out, I can kind of tell.
Yeah,
I cannot do that with the Fabelmans. Like I was watching that scene this time, going, okay, this is in the volume. And then I was watching it and it was like, how the fuck is this in the volume? You know, like I was like, that's fucking insane.
Dude is flexing the entire movie. He is just showing what he has in, oh my God. I mean, in all these, like the little innovations before was just poking holes through film to make muzzle flashes. And now it's using a technology in a way that you don't even know the technology is being used. And that's the level that you have to get to now, I feel like, to have something shocking. But I kind of love that, like, before someone poked holes in the film, that was never thought of before. You know, I don't, maybe Spielberg wasn't the first one to do it ever. Like film splicing and stuff was a thing, I guess. I don't know. It's probably been done before him, but like that is an innovation that someone had to make along the way. And like now that we're at the volume and whatever we have now.
Yeah, specifically when you don't have a budget, you know, like it used to be like muzzle flashes. I don't know when muzzle flashes were developed. I don't know when that technology came to be, you know, but like
yeah, I got it.
This is when a creative doesn't have the means to create with infinite resources, what do they do, you know? And like watching him grapple with that, being a kid making movies, it's fucking awesome, you know? It's super fun to watch, and I absolutely adore it. And I think that this is easily one of my favorite movies of all time. And I think you know, I haven't rewatched Everything Everywhere All at Once in a while. It feels like one of those ones that I'll revisit and be like, oh yeah,
it's back up there. Like
you know, but like that's kind of how I feel about it. But it was there for a while. It was there for a couple years before I decided, you know what, I'm comfortable putting other things above it. And this is one of them. This is one of those things that I'm comfortable being like, you know what, if I'm honest with myself, I think I like this more than Everything Everywhere All at Once.
I slotted it above both Trons pretty easily, and if a movie does that for me, I know it's at a different tier. And when it went above the Batman easily, I was like, okay. I'm like, whoa. I mean, Interstellar and a couple Star Wars movies is the only thing I have above it. And yeah, that's
off the top of my head, I've Casablanca, Titanic, and Raiders, and it's just because like. Principally, I think this is probably, it's like right there with Raiders. It's like right there.
Damn.
But I love Raiders.
That's huge. That's huge because I haven't slotted the indie movies in my list yet. I feel like I haven't given them a faithful watch. The second one was very distracted as well. I was on vacation. It just didn't feel good. So I need to give Spielberg, especially now, I'm giving Spielberg all the attention. I have to. I mean, this man.
He's one of the GOATs for a reason, man. He's one of the greatest that ever did it, and
doing it. Keeping on.
Like one
doing
of the
it.
movies, one of the main movies that I really, really need to get around to is his West Side Story, 2021, the musical movie he did. Because I've heard that's fucking incredible. It's just that he's got a black hole of charisma in the lead. I fucking hate Ansel Elgort, and he's a piece of shit. So it's hard to fuck with that.
Yeah, I don't know. I've only ever seen him in Divergent. I think is like what I know him as. But he's always I don't know. Why does he have a punchable face? I'm not a fighter at all whatsoever, but he does just kind of have one of those faces.
Groomer. But
maybe that's why.
That's why. That's why. He's disgusting. But it was one of those just shitty fucking things where they made West Side Story. They shot it pre-pandemic. Then stuff came out during the pandemic about him, and they were like, fuck. You know, and they just like had to, they'd made the whole fucking movie. They had to float it out there, you know, like, but
my thought on those things is
beyond that. Ansel Elgort can sing, but even he's not a very good actor, which is also one of the interesting things. That's why I'm excited to watch it to see if Spielberg was able to get something out of him.
Probably,
you know.
I mean, off of this dumb military dude that just kept walking. The dude was so lost in the sauce that he had to keep walking. His homies were like,
there was also,
dude, like come back.
They're like, come back. He's like, I can't right now, bro. I'm sad and I don't want y'all to see me.
All
like
of you
this.
were dead because of me, and it's my fault. Yeah, I mean, homie was.
I thought it was the Nazis. Yeah, it was. But you know that whole thing.
Yes,
I loved it.
Oh man, and he's just crying there with him. You know, like kind of. I feel like. I don't know. I feel like that's what's got to happen unless you're with a professional. You know, if you're with a top of the class actor, you just tell them, "Hey, this is what's going on."
There's another little connection there that, you know, like the Nazis are an easy villain. You know, like you hate the Nazis, everybody fucking hates the Nazis. But like knowing that his dad fought in World War II against Nazis, you know, and then you go like, who's the villain of the first Indiana Jones movies, and it's Nazis, and it's like, you know, like there's you know, there's all sorts of stuff.
The Spielbergisms, the Wesisms, that's what we call it. You know, I wonder if there's a better ism or word for that, but I'll stick with Spielbergisms, I guess, for now.
Spielgasms.
Yes, the Spielgasms that we're getting on screen. No, they show through very hard. I don't know, just it's very apparent after the.
Oh, dude, and the way
this,
he lights a fucking shot, dude. Whenever whenever Mitzi kneels down in front of young Sammy to hand him the camera, and the lights coming in over the top of her, and he's being shimmered, and it's like there's like a glowing light on the camera, like it's obviously
gifted.
Dramatic light. Yeah, it's obvious.
Like Holy Grail. Yeah,
there are so many incredibly thoughtful visual storytelling beats. One of them, the most obvious one that people love to point to, because it's just heart-wrenching. After he shows his film that gets him his merit badge, and they show the reactions from his parents, they zoom in on all three of them. Paul Dano looks at Michelle Williams, and then they cut Paul Dano out. They pan away from him as she looks at Benny. And it's like, oh my God. But earlier than that, at the beginning of the movie, whenever they're all sitting down to dinner, and he's going on and on and on and on, and no, like she's like, "Am I supposed to be getting any of this?" You know, and then Benny explains it in simpler terms. And there's a shot from behind Mitzi where she's holding Bert's hand to her right, and she says, "God, I love Bert's brain." And then she leans like this, and it shows Benny's face, and then she goes, "Especially when you're around to explain it." And it's just like, oh my God, that's fucking brilliant. You know, like that's just,
yeah.
She just moves her head. The camera doesn't budge. She just leans her head over to like look at him, and it's just, God damn, it's brilliant, dude. And there's,
man,
I can't get enough.
Cinematography, I guess. Is he?
Yeah,
holding
Janusz
the camera,
Kaminski.
or, okay, so
he is that's Spielberg's cinematographer. The way Yeoman is Wes Anderson's.
Okay,
Kaminski is Spielberg's, and has been for a very, very long time.
Man, that's a. I don't know. I feel like it's the cinematographer goes under the radar a whole lot of the time, but I wonder, like, because like you see pictures every now and then of directors like holding the camera for specific shots and stuff like that, and I wonder like how much of it is just kind of like a tag team, kind of just like like a golfer, like a caddy talking to like the golfer, being like, "Hey, yeah, I think this is what we should do for this."
Especially
shot
when
here,
it is something like that, you know, when it is like they've been working together for. I mean, I don't know how long Kaminski's been shooting Spielberg movies. I know he's the cinematographer on Raiders, so at least 40 years prior to this. And maybe he shot Jaws. I don't know off the top of my head. But like when you have a relationship like that, a working relationship like that, you kind of, I assume, become of one mind to a degree.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like you eventually understand what the other's looking for. You understand what you need out of a certain scene. And it's like, it's when you fire on all cylinders like that. I mean, that's why Yeoman and Wes Anderson work so well together. That's why I'm excited to see what I think it's called The Phoenician Scheme is the next Wes movie, and it's not being shot by Robert Yeoman. It's his first live action movie that won't be shot by Robert Yeoman. So like, and that's what's interesting is, you know, not every Spielberg movie is shot by Kaminski, but a lot of them are shot by Kaminski. So it's fun to kind of see which ones kind of slip through the cracks, you know, because like, and I just love the careers of cinematographers are always so funny, you know.
Going from
Kaminski has shot one movie since The Fabelmans, and it was If, the John Krasinski directed Ryan Reynolds' Imaginary Friend movie that just came out.
Wow. Okay.
You know, he also let's see. There's almost certainly some more fun stuff in here. Yeah, I mean, a lot of Spielberg. In fact, this might be every Spielberg, now that I'm looking at it. Shot Little Giants. I don't know if you ever watched that, the football movie with the little kids playing against each other. Like
Little Giants.
Been around the block. Oh, I was wrong. He did not shoot Raiders of the Lost Ark. I apologize for that. They've been working together since Schindler's List in 1993.
Still quite a while.
Yeah.
I'd say they
I
have
wonder what I was thinking of.
pretty
yeah,
healthy
30 years,
relationship.
not 40 years, but who shot Raiders? Why am I thinking
Douglas Slocum? Douglas
Slocum. Yeah.
Slocum. Yeah.
That's right. That is right.
But, but man, no, I mean, I guess the director is still telling the cinematographer
yeah, same way he does
the same
actors,
way he tells.
you
Yeah,
know?
so I guess it's they're really behind the camera. Like the director
Yeah,
is
they know what
truly-
they want. It's the cinematographer's job to make it happen. You
Yeah.
know, like I tell my guys where I want them and what I need done, and they make it happen. You know, the way Bert says. But
go to that painting over there. Well, describe it. You know, and I love the final shot. You know, like it's the horizon is in the middle. You know, at first, and then they're like,
well, and it's just one of those things where, like, in a movie where he's been flexing the whole time, you know, it's showing that he's not a prodigy. He's not. It's not like he was born this way. He is still learning. Even now at 79, at 80, he is still learning how to do this. And God, I love that last scene. I love it so much. When the horizon's at the bottom, it's interesting. When the horizon's at the top, it's interesting. When the horizon's in the middle, it's boring as shit. Yeah.
Yep. Now I'm gonna be looking at every shot now. And just
and it's
seeing
not
where
it's not foolproof.
Yeah,
you know,
no.
it's not always the case. But like, if you watch Spielberg movies, you will see he's taken this advice. This is not something that it's like this. This is a real piece of advice John Ford gave him. You know, like it's something that he has observed.
Yeah, I mean that he had I feel like two meetings that were just crucial. It was his crazy uncle,
Boris.
Yeah, Uncle Boris. And David Lynch, but not really. Yeah,
John Ford.
But man, those two meetings, he remembered those for quite some time and had quite the impact. I love as his uncle's leaving, he like gives him the last little like your family and art will tear you apart, and his whole family's looking at him like, what the fuck? Like, what did you guys
connect
talk
with
about?
Boris?
Like, because his mom's like, man, I thought that was gonna be a lot worse than it was. What a nice, pleasant visit. And
that's one of the specific shots that everyone always points to whenever they talk about Sammy's effeminacy. Whenever Boris is leaving and his whole family's standing there, and he's got his hands on his hips like this, and he's standing cunty. But it's I mean, just Gabriel LaBelle is so fucking good. He's so fucking good in this movie, and I mean, it's a big movie. 2.5 hours. It leaves no stone unturned, and I mean, like, how are you gonna, who's gonna tell Spielberg to slow it down? You know, like, hey, no, maybe you cut that. Like, no, this is his movie. You know, he's gonna get that done.
Yeah, this feels like a holiday time movie. You know, like this, it would feel so good, cozied up in the winter. Like just to watch.
I watched it for the first time on December 15th, 2022. And I remember, January 10th, 1952. You know,
there you go.
You know,
you
watched it for the first time that day.
Yeah. Guess you probably loved movies before then.
It was not the first. But that is the thing, though, is that I will say there is no other movie that makes me want to make movies like this movie. Like a lot of people will point to, Star Wars and, I mean, even older Spielberg stuff, Jaws, Raiders, stuff like that, and be like, wow, now I know I want to make that happen. Like, I'd had that feeling, but I've never felt that feeling like when I watched The Fabelmans for the first time. Like, when I watched The Fabelmans for the first time was when I was kind of like, at some point in my life, I'm going to make that happen. I don't know how, but I'm going to do that.
Yeah, it just seems so. You have to go. You have to just dive in. You can't just like half-ass do it. You got to do it. And Yeah, it's a big. I guess I don't know. It could be a simple one. Just made it home with a couple people. A silent movie. I love that it was just keeping it rolling. He's like, I can't use any of this. Come on, guys, this is ridiculous. Or like, he's talking to him while recording, not have to worry about audio or anything. And
right.
Yeah, it was just so many.
Quit looking at the camera. I can't use any of this. Yeah, it's.
Oh man, yeah, I love.
And the way that they're all there, it's his entire family helping him make the movie when they're all shoveling the dust into there.
Get dust in my carrier. He's like,
then we'll clean it.
We'll clean it out.
Yeah, I love that. And it's like Sammy goes, all right, I need more dust, and the sisters are like, no more dust. This fucking sucks. And Bert goes, more dust, fellas. It's like it's awesome. Like they're so supportive and they love Boris obviously says, when they tell you it is hobby, when they tell you it is, it's cute little thing you do, but you know it is your life. It is what you are meant to do. Like it just rocks, man. It hits so fucking hard, and I love this movie with all my heart. So, yeah, I'm glad it was my final pick. This was one I decided weeks ago. I was going to be a little disappointed last week if you ended up switching it up on me, because I decided this forever ago.
I'm glad there was something. I'm like, I don't know. I just felt to in that same vein. But
everything happens for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Everything happens for a reason.
Right.
Everything happens for a reason.
Perfect capstone.
Yeah.
This was
but Fabelmans, man, that'll. You feel like we've left any? Have we left any stones unturned?
Let's see. Gotten everything. I guess a line. I just haven't decided between a Bert line. Yeah, I think I don't know. At least the delivery was enough. Whenever this was, let's see, when was this? In his apartment at this point, I think. No. He has not edited the camping trip movie yet, and his dad is like, please, just edit this for me. Like, your mom would love it, blah, blah, blah. And, Sam's kind of fighting back, not wanting to do it. And then he looks down, he goes, something's not right. I don't know what else to do. And he, he's really, getting vulnerable. And he says, can you help me? He's just like, can you help me? And then, it was just like, oh. He was like, oh. He was like, oh, okay. And then, still took him some time. He still didn't, it took Uncle Boris, I guess, coming in to really get him to be like, hey, dude, come on. You need to make that shit. But then the cursed deleted footage, that was kept in the drawer the whole time. But yeah, I don't know, that delivery was nice. But I think the line I will end up going with is that you don't owe anyone your life, not even me, from his mom. That was just good. But a lot to choose from in here, that's for sure.
Yeah, another one of my favorite lines that's just kind of like, you don't know the full implications of it at the time, but it's whenever he crashes his trains for the first time and they're laying him back in bed, and he's like, you can play with these when you learn to respect them. And he goes, but I do respect them. I love them. And Bert goes, it's not enough to love something. You also have to take care of it. And it's just like, God fucking damn, dude. And it's
oh man, poor Bert. Yeah. God damn it, dude. To go from the Riddler to Bert is nuts.
Yeah, same year, 2022.
That's nuts.
Big year for Paul Dano. Also notably a role where he doesn't get his ass beat. He usually gets fucking rocked.
Really?
If he's in a movie. Yeah. There is an insane amount of movies where Paul Dano gets the absolute shit beat out of him.
Okay. There Will Be Blood. 12 Years a Slave.
Yeah.
Sounds like it, I guess. Little Miss Sunshine. That doesn't sound too bad. I don't know.
He was young. It's a sad movie. He was young though. I can't remember if he gets his ass beat in that. I've never seen it, but I haven't heard anything about it.
I'll have to keep an eye out for that, I guess.
No, he just gets an emotional ass whooping in this one.
Yeah, this one might be worse. I don't know.
I think I'd rather get my shit rocked than my best friend fall in love with my wife. Rough living. But dude. There's so many great lines. It's an incredible screenplay. It's incredibly good looking. It's incredibly performed. We might be looking, at the best since, you know, and you know what I mean since for. But
oh yeah.
Oh, sorry, my Apple ID was being used to sign in somewhere. I'm assuming that was upstairs. But
I was gonna say.
But yeah, with that, I'm gonna go ahead and do the plugs. After the plugs, we are going to rate this movie on a scale of 1 to 10, enjoyment and critically. And then after that, we are going to do an album of the week. There is no announcement for what our next movie is going to be because this is the end of season 1. But season 2 will be coming. We are doing a season 2. I can assure you of that. And we do have some surprises in the meantime. You know, we're gonna hit you with a couple cinema surprises in between season 1 and season 2 as a nice little bonus episodes. And when you find those, when you listen to those, you will find out when season 2 is coming for sure. Nice little surprise for you there. But yeah, with that, if you would, head to patreon.com/PennyBloomPod, where you'll find over 50 hours of exclusive content, all sorts of book reviews, comic book reviews, movie reviews, and the like. Previously, that is where you could have found Penny Bloom Dispatch for free, but starting next week, Penny Bloom Podcast will become Penny Bloom Dispatch, essentially. You know, it's more of a segment-based show, a lot more, time-sensitive sort of stuff going on over there. We usually like to, we talked about the Fabelmans today. It's been a couple years since the Fabelmans came out, but, you know, we're talking stuff that happened last week, this week, you know, so on and so forth. And that's kind of a little bit more the goal of the Penny Bloom Dispatch, more fun, segmented sort of business like the show used to be when it first started. But, yeah, let's see. What else? Head to Twitter, follow at Penny Bloom Pod, follow on Instagram and TikTok at Penny Bloom Podcast. If you want any updates on anything for sure, Twitter is the place to be, Penny Bloom Pod. Go ahead and follow there. You can also follow me at Coro_Bloom, CORO_Bloom. And that's where all the news for the shows coming is. You know, we got a lot going on. Next month, just a couple weeks away, we start the Cinementalists. We'll be kicking that off with on September 13th with a live commentary of Star Wars 1977, and I'm very excited for that, and I can't wait for you to hear it. We actually just recorded that recently, and it's going to be the first episode. I'm so excited. But we are getting to the indie movies here in a couple months. In November, we'll be doing the Indiana Jones movie, so we'll be sticking with Spielberg over there in November. So make sure you keep up with the Cinementalists. And you know, we've also got our Star Wars weekly show right now where we're talking, we were talking The Acolyte when it was going on, but we pivoted to just general Star Wars discussion. As of yet, I can't guarantee you what we're doing over there right now. Because we're recording this really far in advance. I have no idea what we'll be doing by then. Yeah. Let's see. Leave a 5-star rate and review wherever you might be listening. And remember to download the episode, especially if you're listening on Cinema Surprise. Remember, this is the last episode of Cinema Surprise that will be available on Penny Bloom Pod. So if you want to keep up with Season 2, if you want to keep up with what's coming on in between, stop listening on Penny Bloom Pod. Go search right now, Cinema Surprise. Find it. Go ahead and follow. Go ahead and subscribe. Go ahead and download those episodes, because then you'll automatically get updated whenever we release the season 2, the little bonus episodes in between seasons. So, you know, one of the surprises is spoiled that we will be having episodes in between seasons. However, you don't know what they're going to be on or what movie. They're just going to happen one day. They're just going to be there. And, you know, you don't want to miss out. You want to be following Cinema Surprise for that. But yeah, let's go ahead and rate this thing. How are we feeling on a scale of 1 to 10, enjoyment-wise?
Well, we can just rate it critically, I think, today.
Yeah, that's
I don't think
that's a 10 on enjoyment. Yeah.
There's any debate here. We can just...
It was so funny. I'm watching this next to Emily last night, and I'm very comfortable crying during movies, you know, and she certainly knows this about me by now. But there are some movies that I can't cry every time I want to cry because it's just a lot, you know? So, you know, I'll like roll over and I'll be like, you know, hitting the sniffles, and, you know, I know she knows I'm crying, you know, but you know, she's nice enough to act like I'm not, you know? That's kind of how it goes.
It would be interesting. The dynamic is definitely different with someone in the room.
And it's just, especially when it's a movie that just keeps you there. You know, it's not like it's like one scene at the end that wallops you.
Nope.
Like especially on rewatch, there's a lot of scenes early on in the movie that take on a new context, knowing how the movie goes. And it's just, I've watched this movie 5 times now. That was my 5th viewing of it. It has not gotten old. I absolutely adore it. And I could watch it again and again. It's only gotten better. So a 10 is a certainty for me, enjoyment-wise. And I would be willing to throw it a 9.75 critically. I think it is that good. I think it is amongst the greatest movies of all time.
Yeah,
that's how I feel.
We gave Banshees a 9.5. I'd say like visually it just looked prettier because we're in Ireland and we're doing landscaping stuff. But visually, as a movie looks, this is prettier.
Yeah, like as far as what it takes to shoot a film.
Yes,
there's very few movies that look as good as this, and that's incredible.
It's the closest thing to a documentary that I think we'll ever get. You know, of just Spielberg's life. I mean, it's insane how
and that's the other thing too, is you wouldn't want a documentary about Spielberg's life. You'd want him to do this, you know, you like that, and this is what he would do. So like that's what makes it so good, man. So we the Spielbergs essentially, the Fabelmans.
The
I
two
absolutely adore it.
kings of the project. Casablanca.
My first pick and my last
in
pick.
the Fabelmans. Yeah, you did very well.
The sandwich.
I got the worst of the worst. The Book of Eli, let's go. I got the bottom of the barrel. That's okay.
Oh.
You need some. Well, it's not a shitter. You need some.
No.
Some
it's
palate
fun.
cleansers.
You need the middle. You need the bendu.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's what you need.
Yes.
And the Book of Eli is the bendu.
Mm-hmm. But man, no, we got some crazy stops on this one. Movies that have changed a lot for me. The way I just think. Fabelmans. Babylon did, La Chimera, and Cure. Like, those 4 were just, like...
nice surprises.
Holy shit. Like, how have I not ever seen a movie like this before? And, yeah.
That's what's so great about this. And that's why we are definitely going to be doing a season 2 of this. This was some of the most fun I've ever had doing a podcast. I've loved the surprise. I love coming on and not knowing what I was going to watch and then finding out what I was going to watch. It's so much fun. So this is kind of something I see going on in perpetuity. I don't really anticipate it being something where ever like, all right, well, that's the final season.
Until we run out of movies, I guess.
Yeah, that's true.
Until we have to watch Scooby-Doo every time on repeat. I guess that'll be the end.
Yeah. When we did the 52-year Journey Through Film episode on Scooby-Doo, where we did we committed to the bit, and we just did that the whole time. Imagine if we did an entire season of Cinema Surprise committing to the bit, where at the end of every episode we were like, and next week we're covering Scooby-Doo 2002, and
you'll never guess what we're
and we
covering.
commit to it that way. That would be wonderful. But
for a month straight. Scooby-Doo only, but
Scooby-Doo only, Scooby-Doo exclusive. No, but this was a wonderful way to end the season, and I'm so very happy. I'm so very happy with it, and I can't wait to do season 2. So be on the lookout for that for the next couple months. Go follow Cinema Surprise. Go subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. As far as YouTube is concerned, if we do continue doing video for Cinema Surprise, it will be on Penny Bloom Pod. Just an easier umbrella for that. You know, it's not. We don't want to create too many outlets, or it just becomes a lot to keep up with. So yeah, if you're gonna watch on YouTube, you're probably safe to stick with Penny Bloom Pod there. But anywhere else, look up Cinema Surprise. That is where it will be. But yeah, let's do the final album of the week for the Cinema Surprises. What was your album of the week here?
No relation to the movie, really.
Mine either. Yeah.
Just one. Usually, I do an album in which I've known a song before, but I needed to expand and hear the rest of the album. And this one is from Daniel Caesar. I don't know much else from him other than this one album, but after listening, I want to listen to more. But it is Case Study 01 is the album. And the song that I knew coming in was Cyanide, is track 2. Oh, it's just a banger. He fucking cooked with Cyanide. But then I just put on the album just to listen to, and it was one that I was kind of doing a lot of work, so I didn't know what songs were playing. But then when I listened to it right before this podcast, I know which ones I like. I really love like the beginning and the end for some reason of this.
Right.
Entropy and Cyanide. Love Again is okay, but the first 2 tracks, I love Entropy, I love Cyanide, and then Are You Okay was the other one that stood out to me. But the middle, it's not bad in the middle. It is very vibey, a very vibey album that kind of goes in many different places, kind of different accents as well. Sometimes it feels a little Jamaican at some points, or a little
kind of reggae in there.
Yeah, which is fun, and then kind of back to normalcy and everything. But yeah, you got Pharrell Williams in there and John Mayer. For people who
John Mayer.
Like them, yeah.
Cool.
I don't know. I'm not a big John Mayer. I don't know. His voice just kind of sounds weird to me for some reason.
I'm not a John Mayer guy.
Yeah, but
especially since I have a Swiftie girlfriend or a.
Was that a previous?
Swiftie,
that was a previous relationship. That's how
I
was
one
know.
of them, and he's one of the worst. Generally considered like. I'm pretty sure they dated when she was very young and he was 30.
Wow, what album
like
is
young
attached
enough to
to
be,
him?
I don't know off the top.
Is there
of my
one?
head.
Is there one that is like known to be the breakup album for him?
I think there is, but I can't remember which one.
Wow, I had no idea that they even dated. That's crazy.
Yep, John Mayer is one. John Mayer is among the worst of the worst. There, as far if you know a Swiftie intimately, they don't fuck with John Mayer.
Okay. But Daniel Caesar is the highlight of this album, not John Mayer.
Yeah. Pharrell rocks. So, love Pharrell.
True.
Do dig me some Pharrell. But I'm actually going with a movie soundtrack for this one. Not the traditional soundtracks I usually go with. Not a score, but a soundtrack, a compilation of songs put to a movie, a newer movie, a 2024 movie. The original soundtrack for I Saw the TV Glow is utterly incredible. Claw Machine by Sloppy Jane and Phoebe Bridgers should, and I would go as far as to say will, win Best Original Song at the Grammy or at the Oscars next year. I can't fathom a song being better than that.
Wow. Okay.
Anthem of a 17-year-old Girl, the very first song and the last song, Claw Machine, to mirror your choices. Those are my favorite songs. Psychic Wound fucking goes. I've never been a screamo person, but the chorus on that goes fucking nuts, and it's intense.
Is it all screamo? Or
No. Okay. Far from it.
Okay, wow.
Far from it. And that's why I Saw the TV Glow also, as far as 2024 is concerned, is right now top 2. I didn't tell you I watched this recently. Right there. I think with a rewatch, it could be top 1 for me, which is, wow. And the music is a big reason. It is so, so good and so poignant and so perfect for the movie. I love that album. I Saw the TV Glow. Watch it, listen to it, everything you can. But, with that, we will conclude this episode and this season of Cinema Surprise. I was Colton Robertson. I was joined by Joseph George. Thank you very much, homie.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Oh, it's always a pleasure to have you, and I will see you for season 2, baby. Remember, peace, love, and bloom. And movies are dreams, doll, that you never forget.